We were off to gain some insight into David Lewis, the adventurer. With an outgoing tide but a low river, we had reasonably easy paddling. However, the cloudy day soon became drizzle and then rain. In the morning, we filled our water containers from the school tap. We had the assistance of the tide and wind until about 1 p.m. At this stage, we visited Kemp's Pole and Hapango Park. Soon, all help from the incoming tide was gone and we became quite skilled at eddy hopping. Our menu was based on carbohydrates at breakfast and dinner and protein at lunch. So we had salami, chutney, crackers and a hot drink for lunch. Another rest mid-afternoon meant we would paddle again until early dark. This would very much be the pattern we had planned for our entire trip. Rapids were getting more powerful and so were our eddy hopping skills, and soon we encountered our very first portage. Day 3. Weather was overcast and light winds in our face. The rapids became more frequent. Portages were necessary, as often the rapids were shallow. One paddle broken meant the use of a split paddle and more care, so frequent portages. Soon we were at Athene, enjoying a hut. After 11 hours paddling, we slept very well.
Wow, Downs Hut. Wonderful. Bloody long day paddling. 9-10 hours, and this is welcome. Whoa. No tent.
Several old and impressive pa sites and then Mutua Island. I had a somber feeling. I had read quite a lot about the battle that had taken place here. We continued past historic names Corinth, Winana and Haruharan. People like Mary Albert and J.K. Baxter may have gone but have left a legacy. About 34 k's today and about 9 hours paddling. Camp was a flat spot along a long grass for a cushion. Jack cooked macaroni cheese for tea and we quickly slept to the noisy ruru calling to each other. Day 4. Weather was overcast and a steady wind to our faces. After 2 hours paddling, we were at Pipariki. Short stop to attach wheels and we were off, still into a strong wind, and drizzling rain became heavier as the day went on. Pulling kayaks uphill doesn't sound hard, but after 7 hours and sore legs and blisters, feet told our story. Ratihi offered dinner in the form of best fish and chips in the world. I've stopped at the Wellington Cafe for many years and they are still the best. Aidan Gilbert saw 3 very wet and tired guys and offered us a floor of his house. Marae style, but a hot shower, bodies recovered quickly, and after breakfast, some porridge, we were off towards National Park. This was interrupted with an interview with Jeff from Peak FM Radio. Day 5. No rain and partly cloudy day couldn't disguise the 37-kilometre travel by foot towards National Park. Rain settled in later in the day, so we called into Mountain Heights Lodge and were offered the hospitality of Hugi and Helen Svensson. We were happy to accept. I'd met Hugi during New Zealand Landsar courses over many years. Day 6. After a short stay and a photo shoot, we were picked up by Mark, who took us to the Tongariro River. It had been flooding over the last few days, so we put in below Putu Stream. After a couple of hours, we were in Lake Taupo. With a tailwind for the first time since leaving Wanganui, our spirits were high, and Andy was even racing to catch swells to surf. Jack was homesick, missing his girlfriend, but soon resolved to complete the trip. This 40-kilometre leg of the trip went well, and we're soon eating bacon carbonara at 5 Mile Bay. Day 7. A short paddle with the wind against us saw us in Taupo. Checking on track conditions and restocking food, we were soon back in the water from the control gates down to hot water stream on the riverside at Spa Park. After a soak, we were in a portage on the river, off to Hooker Falls and then Lake Arataitai. We launched the kayaks again as soon as we could, then made our way to the dam. We had a snack and walked to Naiawa Rapids, where we stayed overnight. Another night of rain, this time collecting a large amount of water from a tent fly. Day 8. Leaving Naiawa, we made our way with the current past Ohaki geothermal station and its giant cooling tower, some isolated riverside houses, then State Highway 5. It was a cool day, so we warmed up by getting our hands into many thermal vents along the way. With only 10 kilometres to go until Ahokuri Dam, we pushed on. Sheltering under trees, we pitched our tent and had tea. Day 9. We woke to a fine day. Most of our gear was dry. Down past Ahokuri Dam, it was more difficult to put into Lake Atamuri. Andy organised the belay and we were soon in and paddling. A good amount of river flow meant Andy was showing Jack how to cut in and out of eddies. Soon the lake water took over and we had to look for sheltered areas to make progress against the wind. At 4:45 we exited Lake Whakamuru and made our way down Lake Maraetai. After an initial hard paddle, we were very pleasantly surprised when a man who asked us what we were doing had read about David Lewis. Turns out he was Junior Mataira, a lecturer of mine at Waikato University.
Well, we just met Junior Mataira. Junior Mataira gave us a beer. Well, just over halfway through the trip, and a beer has got to be the best thing that we could imagine wanting.
Many thanks, Junior. We continued to paddle on to Lake Arapuni, past many small huts and the occasional thoughtfully designed and well-constructed camp like Blue Hut. We had lunch on the deck and marvelled at the flushing toilet. We continued into the driving wind and finally made it to Bloomer's Landing, then a 9-kilometre tow to Arapuni camp at the Powerhouse Road Reserve, with a few hours to view the swing bridge and deep gorge down to the river. Day 11. A good night's sleep, and while preparing breakfast I met Pixie, a local farmer who was exercising herself and a dog. On hearing what we were doing, she went home to get a trailer so she could drop us off along Horohoro Road. The boys were up and fed before she arrived back. Motivation not to have to tow the kayaks. Soon we were back on the river, expecting headwinds. By 12 noon we were below Karapiro Dam and paddling towards Cambridge. Once under the Leamington Bridge, we rafted up and ate some lunch while drifting towards Hamilton. Soon we were passing some very expensive and opulent mansions. Once in Hamilton, the boys stocked up in the pantry, and at 4 p.m. we decided not to tent in Hamilton, but carry on till dark, and continue past the expanding affluence. Shortly after Ngarawahia, we found a spot to camp. Today had seen the biggest thunderstorm I'd ever encountered while in the outdoors. Rainfall was as heavy as it could be, and lasted for at least an hour. Day 12. Started paddling into light winds. Soon we were retreating behind willows on the side of the bank. Day 13. In the early morning sun, most of our clothes were dry again. After a good breakfast of porridge, we were off again. In 30 minutes we should be in Waiuku. I checked the weather tide and decided to stow and have a drink. We'd just make the high tide mark. Once in Glenbrook Channel, we were okay, as it didn't get much sticky around there. We made our way to Clark's Beach, camp and checked the tides again and the wind to predict what weather was going to be like tomorrow. Day 14. Up early, Muesli for breakfast, paddling at 7 a.m. Great start. Wind was light as predicted, but within 20 minutes the wind had picked up again. By 10 a.m. we were in the shelter of Pukitutu Island in portage around the old sewage ponds of Onehunga. We passed Burger King restaurant, had a refuel, and then walked along Great South Road until we hit Tamaki Estuary. A seal launched and the boys were on their way under State Highway 1 near Otahuhu.
Tamaki, here we are!
Oh, my feet are covered.
Piranha.
Day 15. Forecast for a few showers, clearing and early morning winds. We were off by 7:45 and are hit with strong northwesterly winds, which was creating quite a bit of chop. We headed straight into it and also towards the old historic lighthouse. Once there, we headed for the shelter of North Head, Chillingham Beach. We paddled in the lee of the land and made the way around Takapuna Beach and finally past Thorn Bay to Milford Beach. Jenny, Daryl and Grandad were waving at the beach with a cold beer to celebrate. Both boys performed extremely well. Max managed to keep up. 15 days, more than 700 kilometres including 100 k's by road. I hope we've gained even a small insight to the tenacity of David Lewis.